next guest went to Hollywood High School and wanted to be an archaeologist, but soon her career goals began to match her neighborhood, and she became a successful actress in dozens and dozens of films. You best know her, of course, as Robert Wagner's wife in the hit series Heart to Heart. Please welcome Stefanie Powers.
Pleasure to follow that wonderful act.
Yeah,
I've always just dignity, Joan, always.
But I figured, you know, everyone thinks it's so new. It's the 90s. Alice Cooper in the 70s. It's just, you know, every generation repeats itself.
When you look at their costumes, I mean, they're really premeditated. It's not haphazard. They're artists and they're craftsmen,
yes,
and they are in show business, and they really do it very well.
But everyone...
It's just... The form is a little bit odd. Well, it's all right.
But you remember Ozzy Osbourne? I mean, it's like every 5 years another group comes along and says something new, and the kids that are growing up go, oh, something new, you know?
Well, it's the next instant mashed potatoes, I guess, isn't it? Yeah.
Now, here we are, and you're doing something new, too. This is so beautiful. And I wasn't even going to mention, and they brought it out and showed.
Well, there's a whole...
What are you doing? You're doing China now?
There's a method to this madness. You know, as you well know, I've been involved with the William Holden Wildlife Foundation since its inception about 5 years ago. Well, no, it's getting on 6 years ago. Time does fly, doesn't it? And since I'm pretty much the fundraiser, bottle washer, you know, all of that sort of thing. It's very difficult in this day and age to go out and find ways of making money for the foundation. So I have to depend on the kindness of many friends and the generosity of many friends. And a very dear girlfriend of mine, who is one of America's great equestrians in competition, is also a fabulous artist, and she was commissioned by Waterford Wedgwood to do a collection of dinnerware, which is called Equus, and this is it. It has an equestrian pattern to it.
It's beautiful.
It was her suggestion that they donate a percentage of the profits of sales to the William Holden Wildlife Foundation, which I'm very happy to say.
How much percentage? I'm just curious. What do you get when
you
someone
should have negotiated for me. I'm sure it's not enough.
Yeah, what do you get, like 10%, 5%?
I think, well, it has to do with profits of sales, you know, so once they recover their initial investment in actually producing it, then the profits start to come in.
Do you feel embarrassed going around asking people for money? You know, people are always calling me and saying...
You know, I could never do it for myself, but I certainly could do... I'm never embarrassed about the foundation. In addition to which... I'm willing to make a fool of myself for the foundation, but I'm not willing to make a fool of myself for anything else. The diamond industry was, because of some friendships, also started to get behind some of our fundraising, and some very interesting designers all across the country have donated works of art in diamond jewelry, all with an endangered species theme.
How many endangered species are there?
Well, this is one of our most endangered in the United States. This is the American bald eagle.
Why is everything just falling apart? I mean, you saw this happening 10 years ago, right? Or even longer.
Well, to give you a little shocking piece of news, there are statistics that make life terribly depressing, but if you realize that the bell has been ringing a long, long time.
A long time.
The Sahara Desert, as part of this desertification of the planet, the Sahara Desert has been encroaching in the last 30 years that they've actually measured it, 60 miles on its perimeter. When you discover where it is in the map, and you look at the actual size of the Sahara Desert, the sort of land mass that it covers, the loss of 60 miles on its perimeter, on all sides of its perimeter, the basic perimeter itself, is an enormous amount of land. That land also represents an enormous volume of eco-structure, because you designate that by the building blocks of ecology as it goes up into the atmosphere. It's no wonder that we have all of the changes that are going on. An awful lot of people think those are trends that have happened for millions of years, but they haven't happened in all the years that we've been around.
Why did you get so involved in Africa? Because, as you said, the American bald eagle, you know, yet all your focus is over there.
Well, my focus is there because of Bill, yes, and because he started a game ranch for the preservation of what is now about 30 species, most of which are endangered.
Why didn't you ever marry him? It was such a romance. No, but there are a couple romances.
She gets right to the core, doesn't she? Don't candy coat it, Joan.
Yeah, but what? It was a love affair on both sides. Nobody dumped anybody. It was a love affair to the end.
He had been married unsuccessfully and unhappily for about 30 years. I had also been married unsuccessfully and unhappily for about 8 or 9. The last thing we wanted to do, he had raised his children. We were not going to have children. And the last thing I thought, and I suppose there were parts of him that thought, was that we wanted to alter some way the choice that we had made as consenting adults to be with somebody that you loved and adored and respected, and to require that it was confined or somehow placed into the confines of a terminology. It was pretty stupid, I think, on my part. Looking back, it was rather stupid, because what I failed to realize was that there are funny things about not being married, you know. Yes, and in many cases it does change people. But there are also funny legal aspects to not being married. If we had an accident in an automobile, I did not have the right to check him into a hospital because I was nothing.
Yeah, that's insane. Or see him, really. Isn't that it? Sometimes if somebody's very, very ill, they only...
You have no rights.
Yes,
at all.
rights.
You have no rights postpartum, as it were, you know, to designate, unless it's been absolutely perfectly done on paper, that these wishes will be carried out. So it's very complicated not to actually... I suppose so that what I'm saying is that if you decide to spend a time with somebody and you look at the ramifications from a really practical point of view, you really do have to protect one another in some ways.
Because you became the widow without being the wife, do you know?
Yeah.
Everybody looks at you and they know about the love affair, and they know...
That's an interesting way of putting it. You're right, yes, I did.
And you become... You know, all the stature has come to you without the first half. But what happens to you socially? Does something like that make men back off from you now? Because...
Oh, I don't think that's what makes men back off. I think when they discover I'm a polo player, that finishes it.
Is there anybody in your life now?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's okay then. Yeah. Does he find it hard living in the shadow of Bill Holden?
Well, I don't think he lives in any shadow at all. So.
Will you marry this time, do you think?
I don't know.
That means yes.
It depends. It's all very new. So, I mean, if it lasts, if we find that we're growing to enjoy.
Married. What's the worst thing? Get married. What's the worst thing can happen? It doesn't work out. You get a nice ring. Thank you so much for being on. Please come back again. It's always good to see you. We will be, which Kevin? This Kevin. We will be right back. And okay, if you could just move the thing a little bit, and we'll find out what to do when you're fired.